I mean, you know, obviously they're only censoring me because I'm wrong, right? That's what you use censorship for, to censor the people that are wrong, not the people that are right. You just don't want people to know what they're talking about, right? That had nothing to do with my we were at over 100 viewers. Over 100 viewers, and then suddenly the feed just tanks. What makes sense? How does that make sense? Well, that was wild. Is it though, Matt? At this point, are you really surprised by it anymore? It's not, you know. Right. By the way, I was saying congratulations on the new job, by the way. But at what point does it, no, you're not surprised, right? My feed is cruising at over 100 viewers at the time. Like, everything's going well. Of course that's what's going to happen. Especially too, you know what I notice? Is like, it seems like when the comment section starts agreeing with me and more people are agreeing with me, that sure seems to fuck the thing up. It's just crazy how it's only you. And thank you. I work at a weed factory packing weed all day. That's amazing. That's got to be a great job. Too bad you can't go gloveless, because if you just went gloveless, you'd catch a wicked buzz. But they probably won't let you go gloveless. But yeah, I mean, you know, I can't say it's only me, because I don't watch a lot of different feeds and shit. But from what I do watch, I've never seen any of this happen to anybody else. I've never seen anyone else talk about the comment section getting shut off. I've never seen anyone else just doing their thing and suddenly the feed just tanks. Like, it doesn't happen that way. If it does, they'll say shit like, oh, you know, something got unplugged or something like that. Everyone I watch, it's only you, so that's good enough proof for me. That's what you should be. That's what you should require. You know, most things you're just supposed to believe them because somebody says something one way or another. It's something that isn't commonplace. And that should be like extra proof, like proof reds. You know? The fact that you don't see the same thing happening anywhere but here. Why would it, you know, what other explanation is there? You must be new to this whole thing because LOL. You must be new to this whole thing because LOL, because once upon a time people like me were dismantled off YouTube. Yeah. I mean, at this point, like what would be my motivation to even believe you? I mean, at least this person does seemingly have, you know, 1.4 subscribers, 1.4 thousand subscribers. At least they seem like a legitimate profile. You know, doesn't check all the. Here we go again. Yep, I had to put all my videos on private because in 2014 I was dismantled. For what? What were you talking about? It doesn't seem like, you know, Happy the Ordinary Cat would be a threat. I mean, it just depends. Were you talking about Israel and the friars and how they control the world? 9/11 and gay people. Ooh, I want to hear your arguments about gay people. Why are gay people bad? You know, I mean, again, I think that's sort of like a real tell. Like, of course your page got dismantled. you were a bigot. You know, when you're a bigot, it's gonna happen that way. I don't believe you got banned for that, but yeah, let's hear it. I mean, I can understand maybe there being some interference when it comes to 9/11, but at the end of the day, 9/11 videos are all over YouTube. You're allowed to talk about 9/11 all day. Being gay is not an issue. This is being a free human. I didn't know this about myself. You know, again, you're sitting in your own little bubble thinking whatever way you want to think. What you present is a completely different narrative. So you're presenting something that is, you know, that is fostering the thoughts that come your way. But instead of being cryptic and instead of being stupid about it, just say what you got to say. It's always so weird to me how difficult this is. You don't even know what I posted. See what I mean? Now it's just going to turn into more crybaby shit. I'm sorry you can't prove your shit better, but what are we getting wrong here? Are you saying you were pro-gay and that's what got you removed? Highly doubt it. And again, the 9/11 stuff, you know, you can talk about that all day. Depends on which direction you go in. Like if you're going to point out all of the Friar Israel stuff, well, that might get you in trouble. But not really. You know, 9/11 was given to us to be what it was. You know, 9/11 was the ultimate distraction. I was just trying to show that some of the rappers were gay. LOL. And yeah, but in what way? Was it? You know, it's just like the white people that'll be like, "Oh, I don't see any white privilege from earlier." You probably don't realize what you were doing or saying, but you know, I know in 2014 that was more common, and that's part of the thing that I would think you could probably get censored for that, because you are telling a truth that they don't want known. You know? Tupac was clearly a gay man. They don't like it, but you can't tell me that the Tupac that was somehow interviewed while he was at liberal arts school became the representation of thug life. You know, if you ever saw young Tupac, you'd be like, yeah, that's a gay dude right there. Oh, he was blatantly kissing his little son, dude. Lots of Hollywood's gay with it. Birdman freaking kissing Lil Wayne on TV and they freaking took the camera off. Yeah, that part's fucking strange. And of course, it's because they don't want us to know that aspect of it. But it has nothing really to do with being gay as much as it is the predatorial nature of it all. And like, you know, like Birdman's clearly gay. That's why he is the way he is. And if you think like he wasn't given his position, like you're just foolish. Matt, no, he's telling the truth. It was on 106 in Park. And they were like, nah, this is how we get down. Like, they were proud of it. They were like, yeah, this is what we do. This is how we get down. And they kissed, and the camera quickly cut away from them. And when it came back, AJ and Free were like, ew. Trying to still be cool, like, yeah, ew. I just think it's always funny how, like all the people that are so anti-gay one way or another, they never seem to say anything bad about chicks getting down. You know, why is chicks getting down on each other okay? Like, to me, I think if we were more honest about it, it wouldn't be the issue it is. But the thing is, The thing is, like, we're just not allowed to be just honest. You know, we're not allowed to say, like, for me to be gay is gross. Hey, let the dogs in.
We gotta go. Nick and I have to go.
The whole thing with gay, it's like, to me, again, it's disgusting. Dicks are gross. I fucking want nothing to do with dicks. Just like a gay guy wants nothing to do with vaginas. For me to personally do it is disgusting, and I'm very much opposed to it. For you, go suck all the dicks you want. Fuck all the feet you want to. That's fucking weird as shit to me. I think fucking feet is weirder than being gay. Lots of people do it, though. They try to make it a secret for some weird reason. What's up, Algo? I don't care if you're gay. I just thought it was bizarre that people that were trying to front like they were straight gangsters were the antithesis of what you would consider gangster. They all are. That's the narrative, and proves that the labels control everything. Well, I mean, again, they had to fill the prisons. You know, there's that Lazy Bone, no. Yeah, I think it's Lazy Bone. There's an interview he did on a radio station or whatever, where he talked about how in the mid-90s, early 90s, Bone was brought to this secret meeting along with a whole bunch of other up-and-coming rappers and you know, bigwig personalities and whatnot. And they were told about how, you know, the goal is to fill the prisons. You know, and it's interesting because, like, again, most people are so stupid, they don't realize, like, the nigga, the thug character is the same thing as the redneck. It's just the same fucking thing. They literally created the same character, just on different ends of the spectrum. Proud to be ignorant. Proud to be a fucking stereotype. You know, dressing like a total clown, acting like a fucking imbecile and a clown. That's what it means to be blah, blah, blah. That's what it means to be black. That's what it means to be a white guy from the South. Blah. The fact is, it's just like with the way black people talk. I live in Michigan, and I know guys, or have known guys, that never even left Michigan, and yet they have a slight southern drawl to the way they talk. How the fuck do you... You're not gonna let the dogs in?
We gotta go.
You couldn't have let the dogs in.
Nathan! Let the dogs in!
Come here. Be good, duty.
I will. I'm always
Love you.
good. We'll be right back.
Yeah.
We just gotta go pick up the health appraisal.
Whatever, man. Dude, agree with what, man? That I'm in a cult that I'm not in, huh? It's a fact. Sorry, you don't agree with facts, huh? So I threw that video of a couple of other ones that were weird about Lil Wayne and put the connection with Fat Joe, saying that there's a lot. Fat Joe is the gayest guy I've ever seen. Fat Joe is the most closeted rapper in the game. And I don't know how he gets away with not, you know, him and Busta Rhymes too. But Fat Joe, you know, the problem with me when it comes to all of it is how they, you know, these are the guys that foster the most anti-gay sentiments, right? These are the guys that you know, like, if you react to being called gay or something along those lines, or you gotta constantly tell people, dude, I'm not gay. I'm not, no homo, bro. No homo. If you say no homo, it's to cover the fact that you got some gay stuff going on. Nate! Nathan! Go let the dogs in. I don't know. Matt is super protective of me. I appreciate it, but Matt's super protective because Matt's been in this fucking war for the last few months, and he's seen exactly what happens and how this works, and who, the tactics they use. So, is Eminem gay? I doubt it. I don't get that vibe from him at all. Which is probably why he wasn't at the fucking Diddy parties and shit like that. Don't take me as hostile. No, I appreciate it. He was after they cloned and killed him. I don't see the thing about the whole cloning aspect is I don't know how you clone someone's mind. I think cloning the body is probably pretty easy, but as far as the mind goes, like Eminem is a genius on unrivaled levels. What he can do with words and not just words, but ideas and coherency, that he can make a song that is about something. I would love to see what Eminem would do in a collab with me, or actually talking about things unleashed. Like Revival is considered a flop, but Revival is fucking amazing. Revival is one of his best albums, especially that song with Alicia Keys. That should have been the biggest hit, but because it was about Trump, it wasn't allowed to be. But Eminem and Alicia Keys is a hit all day. You sound like Kamala right now. I sound like Kamala because Kamala talks about these things, right, stupid? Like, how is that the best you can come up with? Other than you're just some dumb Israeli bot or an act ILJ. Like, what motivates that level of stupidity? That part I can't understand. I like the rapper and any cuss words. I know that sounds stupid, but very talented. I mean, if you listen to our shit, I don't cuss nearly as much as you would think I would, but that's because I was told at a young age that swearing is an ignorant man's excuse for not being able to come up with a better word. But Eminem is unrivaled. Nobody else is doing what Eminem can do. Nobody else is even close to Eminem. Like, it's shocking how great he is. So and the same thing with Dave Chappelle. Like, I don't know how you clone that brain. Dave Chappelle is a revolutionary. Dave Chappelle is a philosopher. Dave Chappelle is on the lines of like Socrates and shit like that. Just the modern day versions. Oh, ambulance parents are just as worthless as their children. Yeah, it's a whole country in Israel full of them. I think Eminem was good at one point, but I just don't feel his music. I can't imagine how or why. And for me, it's the opposite. Eminem's old shit is trash. Slim Shady is trash. When you listen to the words of his songs, it's unrivaled. The depth of his rhymes, the depth of the schemes that he puts together, bringing shit back around, and he's unrivaled. And his songs aren't about teeth and shoes and hoes and bitches and, teeth and shoes and hoes and sell drugs and teeth and shoes and hoes and bitches and nigga, shoot, nigga, shoot. There's a reason why Eminem isn't a part of the scene. Because, he's widely considered the GOAT across the board. And if he goes anywhere, he's the biggest star. But he's not around very much. Was his older music on drugs. Right. And he's sober, which is it's just amazing. It shows you like wow, just the way his brain works. I like Tech Nine a lot. I don't like speed rap that much. I want to be able to dig it. I want to be able to hear what you're saying, and it's impressive. The Speed 'em with Tech Nine and Eminem is a great song, but that's just like It's not what I want to listen to consistently. No. Consistently, like I say, Revival is fantastic. The Bad and Evil album is amazing. Royce is on par with Eminem. Royce the 5'9" is so fucking good. They're called boats. Rap God. Rap God's okay. It's not his best work by far. Immortal Technique tells songs. Yep, he does. And why do you think Immortal Technique? Why do you think everybody knows about Immortal Technique, but he's not famous? Because he wasn't willing to play the game. You know, the thing about the entertainment industry is again, it's nothing new. Like when people talk about Hollywood, they always talk about Hollywood used to be so racist. Hollywood used to be this, that, and the other. Hollywood is a idea, is a place. Hollywood doesn't have thoughts. Hollywood isn't a person. It wasn't Hollywood, this abstract idea that was, screwing black people out of contracts and all that shit for decades. It wasn't Hollywood that ran all the music companies and all that shit. And like I said, gave these Goyim these terrible deals forever. It's them. It's the friars. It's the chosen people. No, like I said, there's people in this orbit that are pretty dope. It's not just, yeah. Cool, I don't care. Royce the 5'9" is one of those speed rappers. No, he's not. Wait till he finds out trees ain't real. I think trees hold a much deeper significance than people realize. I think if you think about what you're presented with trees, there should be trees all over the place that are hundreds, if not thousands of years old and huge. But they're not. And it seems like the vast majority of the trees, if you were to cut them down, they're from, their original planting is from right around the reset time. It doesn't matter where you go. The trees are all the same height, all the same size. There are some areas that have larger trees like the redwoods. And we all know that they went around and cut down all the sequoia trees, even though they weren't good for any sort of products or paper or lumber or anything. They still cut all those giant fucking trees down for whatever reason. But trees should be much bigger. Trees should be, everywhere you go, you should see trees that rival the imagination. Even the places where it's like supposedly like protected old growth kind of shit. All that shit's about the same age. Why do you think that is? And there's like, to me, there's at this point, there's like two people in the world. You either are somebody who understands the concept that there's probably some sort of reset that happened, or you're somebody that believes what you're supposed to believe. Oh, look, Johnny Roswell is a pedophile. Johnny Roswell is flying the pedophile flag. Right, Johnny Roswell? You're a fucking disgusting pedophile. Flying that pedophile flag. Almost like he wants to get removed so he has an excuse. Right? He wants to be removed. He knows he's not smart enough to make any arguments. Don't spread anti-Semitism. I'm proud of my anti-Semitism. I don't know how many times I have to explain this. I encourage it every chance possible. What most of you don't understand is that anti-Semitism isn't what you think it is. Again, we'll look up the definition for you real quick. Semitism definition. Semitism definition. We go to the Merriam-Webster page, Merriam-Webster dictionary page.
Semitism.
Semitism, that's what we're reading about here. You see this? Just so there's no confusion.
Semitism. Semitism.
Number 1A, Semitic character qualities. Number 1B, a characteristic feature of a Semitic language occurring in another language. Number 2, policy or predisposition favorable to Jews. Policy, rules and regulations, predisposition, how you've been programmed, favorable to Jews. If you can even show me a similar word for somebody else. Show me something else that's even close. That's what Semitism means. Semitism is supremacy. When the rules and regulations, the policy is in favor of you, along with, here we go again, funny. Predisposition is something that's beyond your control. You're predisposed to heart disease, exposed to getting cancer because your family, you know, your family has it, and it's this genetic thing. So predisposition and policy is supremacy. They're covering all aspects. The rules and regulations, along with the way people think, has to be in favor of them for them to be happy about it. That's what they're saying. It has to be in favor of them, not equality, favorable. Right? Policy and predisposition is favorable to them. That's arrogance on levels that most of us can't even wrap our heads around.
Oh, come on.
Go, Mo. Just keep walking. Don't stop. Go on, go. Oh, fuck. Just wait. Come on, Mo. Make it yourself. Make it yourself.
Okay.
Do you know what to do?
Nope.
Goddamn, you're stupid. They'll be home in a minute. Mom will make it. They'll be home in just a minute. Go! Move. Get out of the way, dude. Hi, baby. But I mean, look at the comments, right? Look at all the crybabies. Stop talking about this. Stop talking about this. Stop it. Stop, you're stupid. Yep, it's me, because I know the definition of words. Go and tell me how Semitism isn't a thing. Come on, let's see if you can battle me on the same sort of level here. Come at me with facts. How come none of you guys come in here and talk about how good you are? All the good things your Matitza Buppe fucking pedo cult does. How come the only thing you guys can ever do is cry? Cry and complain. Don't say those things. You're not allowed to say those things. Like it's amazing how desperately stupid, inbred stupid you are. You just proved my point. Like I never, ever, ever worry that one of you is going to come in here and say something that I can't answer for. I never worry about it. I've never experienced it. I've never had some dumb friar come in here and be like, well, what about this thing? And blah, blah. They never. And I'm like, oh shit, I didn't. Got never. Oh, he's got absolutely no right to be arrogant. Look at the crybaby. Keep crying. Good old rage bait. Yep, it's rage bait. I'm hunting for stupid people that are bothered by words. You said words I don't like, agree with, or know about. Oh, don't say that. That's rage baiting me. Very chosen like to blame the other person for your feelings. It's your fault because you rage baited me. Like, it's amazing. And it's so, it's like, it's such an obvious, like, spotlight on the fact that their whole fucking thing is falling apart. They never expected us to be on this level. They never expected us to unify like we are. They never expected us to have, to know what Matitza Bapé is. And, they never expected us to question their bullshit religious God narrative. And now that it's happening, they're scrambling. What can they do? Their whole thing is based off of a fairy tale. Understand, like, without Exodus, there's no Judaism. And Exodus is impossibly stupid. As far as biblical stories go, it's right up at the top with the impossibly stupid narratives. Heard we are at war with Venezuela because we bombed one of their boats. But Venezuela isn't a big country, is it? No, it's not. And again, it's we're at war because we did something to somebody else. Sounds pretty straight up. Oh yeah, Joe Starr already admitted he's a pedophile. You know what's interesting too? I've said that several times now. I've exposed how they're all pedophiles, called him directly one, and they don't deny it. They can't. There's nothing they can do to deny it. They know I'm right about the ritualistic sexual abuse that goes on behind the scenes. They're just not going to talk about it. Right? They know all this shit. Like I say, Israel Hayom, the news website, Israeli blah, blah, blah website, published the Bottom of Darkness article. I apologize for being born in this world. Yeah, it's not like I chose it. No, it is. We aren't talking about a race of people here. You could actually absolutely choose to leave the cult and still live your life just fine. Look at this shit. See, they're falling apart. He's even trying to blame, I guess, his parents or some shit. Yeah, your parents were fucking idiot cult members. They probably did horrible things to you that you're just not going to talk about. But at some point, you became a man. You became accountable and responsible for your own fucking actions. And instead of going, you know what, I don't want to be associated with this pedophile, genocidal, disgusting piece of shit cult, you were like, well, I do get a lot of advantage and opportunity from this, so I'll just play along. I'm not practicing, but you're also not denying it, are you? I totally denied it. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. And you haven't been this whole time. There's not all these comments from Joe going, yeah, that shit's awful. It sucks that I'm one of them, but, and I'm associated with it. This is stupid. Like, there's nothing like that. It's not my fault. The U.S. just passed some legislation bullshit that says the Israeli flag is associated with the Jewish race. They're not a race of people. You can't convert to a different race. Doesn't matter what stereotypes you put out there, you can't convert to it. There is no converting. Like I say, I can't just my eyes and talking all stereotypical. Oh, and now I'm a Chinese. You have to call me a Chinese now. That's not a thing. You can't convert to a different race. People would call me out, call me an asshole, call me all these things if I tried to tell everybody, oh, I'm Chinese now because I'm doing this and I talk like this. You can convert your fucking cult that you believe in. But this notion of them being a race is just a joke. They're falling like dominoes and guy only had to knock over one domino. Think about that, right? My uncle died last night. I'm really sorry to hear that. That sucks. God has nothing to do with it. And then the way you paint them to be. Sure you haven't. And there's no white privilege and blah, blah, blah. How many brisses have you been to, you disgusting piece of shit? Matt, who cares? They know the same thing. They know it's not, they know. But it's all they have. Listen, it's just like when Trump supporters start yelling out Trump 2028. They're screaming, I'm a pedo, right? They're acknowledging their affiliation, their association with pedophilia. Just like when they say something about drugs and blah, blah, blah. Dude, that's just you acknowledging that you're stupid. If you, like, see, so you're criticizing one aspect of this video. You're clearly seeing what's going on. You're making your argument based on something that you're witnessing. Which means everything that I'm talking about that you don't talk about, that you ignore, you're doing it on purpose. And if you had something better to say, if you could criticize in some sort of way, just like you are with the weed thing, if you had a decent criticism of anything I'm doing or saying, you would absolutely bring it. It's not like you have this really like argument ending thing that you're just holding on to, waiting till the right moment to say it. No. You're gonna, shoot your best bullets first. And the fact is, they can't say anything to the contrary. You weren't born Jewish. You were born into the cult. And if you were a decent person, it wouldn't matter who is associated with it. You would leave it. You would speak against it. Yeah. As soon as you find out your thing is associated with pedophilia, why are you still associated with it? I can also brother agree with this. You're in for a big surprise, homie. Am I? You say that on a podcast instead of to my face. I would absolutely spit in your dumb face. I'd try my best not to hit your nose, but I probably would hit it. But I would spit in your face and watch you cry. Because one, I'm not a child. And two, I'm not a female. And three, there's no IDF soldier standing behind you. So we all know what cowards you are when those parameters aren't met. We shared a great video on Instagram with you from Jeff Berwick this morning. Less than 2 minutes worth of watch. Oop, now I'm a coward. See what happens? You start pointing out stuff that they can't argue. He can't argue it. He tried to make some crybaby excuse. Well, it's not my fault. I was into it. We didn't take that excuse. We were like, no, dude, be accountable for yourself. He's like, I'm going to fight now. I'm going to fight now. When we all know he would never do that. You talk out of your ass. Seek Jesus. Funny thing for a Christian to say, don't you think? Just so everybody knows and paying attention accurately, he has tried to paint me in a horrible light, pretending I'm part of some cult when I'm not. It's absolutely creepy and anti-Semitic. See, he's so dumb, even when explained what the words mean, he still can't do it. He still can't, like his programs run so deep that he just has to start using the provided talking points. Anti-Semitic. No, I'm all for the Palestinians. The only Semitic people in that conflict. New studies come out showing 95% of Israelis don't have Semitic blood. And you know who's doing the studies, right? They are. But yes, the only way I know that you're a part of the cult is by what you say and how you present yourself. And you flat out acknowledged that you were born into the cult. And you're not a good enough person to leave it. You want to know why laws are being passed to prevent anti-Semitism? This guy right here, right? They don't want, exactly. They don't want people knowing the truth. They don't want people saying the things that I'm saying because look at how they respond to it. Look at how it shatters their whole illusion. You can't hold us responsible. I'm not responsible for my own actions. I was born into it. It's not my fault. He doesn't deny that they're pedophiles. He can't. Go on and explain to us why Matitza Bapé is okay, you doofus. You are literally goblin, vampire, ghoul, lol. All monsters of the ancient world. You are Morlock. Or you're Morlock. Right in the nose. Why would you prevent freedom of speech? Yes, I stopped his freedom of speech. Oh, Jesus. He's not magic. He can't answer. Bull ass. Well, I apologize I exist. Doesn't matter if you apologize you exist. Like again, look at this whiny little, well, I'm fine, I apologize I exist. Not, again, that you choose to align yourself with the pedo cult. You notice how, again, he's just so inbred and stupid that he can't wrap his head around this. Anti-Semitism directed at me in my entire life, and yes, if you were standing in front of me the same way you would keep... What? He's so upset he can't even make sense. Well, I apologize I exist. Absolutely crazy. I have never had so much anti-Semitism directed at me in my entire life, and yes, I would if you were standing in front of me the same way you would keep. Okay. Look at how offended he is. And this is what I mean. So when they accuse you of anti-Semitism, it is anything that you're doing that isn't you just shutting up and accepting their supremacy is anti-Semitism. That's the brilliance of that weapon that they've created. You know, it's a Swiss Army knife. It's a coverall. Whenever they feel threatened, anti-Semitism, anti-Semitism. And because you've been programmed to think it's something akin to being called a racist, you go, oh, no, that's not it, that's not it. But really, they're saying, you're not giving me the supremacy I demand. You're talking about something you're not supposed to talk about. How come he hasn't actually pointed out any specific thing I'm getting wrong if I'm wrong? Right? How come he keeps crying and crying in these blanket ways but won't address what's being wrong? Your mouth shut. He can't even get his fucking words right. I just want you all to look in the mirror and realize what you're doing. I'm mortified, and yes, I'm scared. Never knew this actually existed. You prove all those people's points, right? How dare we think that your rape culture, your pedophile culture, your supremacist fucking belief system is wrong? We're supposed to just be good goyim and all be the willing 2,800 Gentile slaves you all require, right? Right? All that Talmudic stuff. can rape a 3-year-old girl. You can rape a child as long as she's 3 years and 1 day old. And really, what it comes down to is if a goyim were to do it, they should be executed. But if you do it, then essentially you now have to pay the dowry to the family, and that little girl essentially belongs to you. Jeffrey Sokol style. You guys remember Jeff Sokol, don't you? The guy from TCAP that was eating the pizza and had the marriage contract. It wasn't a marriage contract. It was a property contract. He wanted to buy the little girl. Have you? Like, can you imagine? Again, if I'm wrong, why don't they just address what I'm wrong about? Instead, this guy's going, F you. That's all he can do. Shut up, you're allowed always plays the perpetual victim card. Exactly, that's what they do. Talk normally and stop pretending you're gay. You're a gay Jew. It's embarrassing. Yep, I should do what you say I should do. Everyone, Joe Star just called us Nazis. It's part of the package. It's what they're all programmed to do. Here, let me show you guys something. So, of course, first and foremost, we got to show you why I use Wikipedia, right? But I would be surprised. What's in your search history? LOL. I think you're Oh, now we're trying to turn it around. Now, obviously, the things I'm saying are hurting him so bad that he's trying to use them against me. Isn't that interesting how that works? Crybaby can't answer for any of the things being said. I never said I support any of the things you claim. I support, but you keep... Oh, you claim I support, but you keep saying I'm not disavowing or something when I have many times. Oh, really? Really? If his hate is towards Muslims, I'm 100% backing what he's saying. Muslims are fucking disgusting. Yeah, not Christians, though. Not Christians. What's always interesting is how when you look at the history of shooters, so there's finally a trans shooter, and everybody's like, see, look, it's a trans person. Yet the vast majority of the mass shooters are Christians, white Christian males. But nobody ever talks about that part. So the reason I use Wikipedia is because of this piece of shit right here. This piece of shit's name is Naftali Bennett. He is at this point, he's the former Israeli prime minister. But in 2010, when this was recorded, he is a future Israeli prime minister and just a high-ranking Israeli agent, right? This is Naftali Bennett talking to the IsraelNationalNews.com. Okay?
Moetzet Yesh, in conjunction with My Israel, has arranged Instruction Day for wiki editors. The goal of the day is to teach people how to edit in Wikipedia, which is the #1 source of information today in the world. As a way of example, if someone searches the Gaza flotilla, we want to be there. We want to be the guys who influence what is written there, how it's written, and to ensure that it's balanced and Zionist in nature.
I came here to learn.
All right. So you have Naftali Bennett saying that they control Wikipedia to ensure that what's written there is balanced and Zionist in nature. Zionist. I'm not a self-hating Jew because everything he's saying, everything he said is things I've never seen. But if it does exist, then yes, I don't support it. But if it doesn't exist in any way he's trying to claim it, but it doesn't exist in any way he's trying to claim it does. Okay. I am making this up. Here, let's look up METZIT, Metitza Bapay. I'm going to make this up, okay? Metitza Bapay, literally oral suction, is a controversial practice in friar ritual, friar being Jews, friar ritual circumcision, where the moil uses his mouth to directly suck blood from the wound to prevent the spread of herpes and other infections. No, that's how herpes is spread. It's not to prevent the... You don't put your herpy mouth on a bloody penis to prevent anything. But it's what it is. There's no questioning what it is. Right? You guys don't like it, I don't know what to tell you. It's the fucking truth. It's what they do. So, let's look up Brit Milah, right? We're going to look up the wiki Brit Milah. That's why I showed you. Everything on Wikipedia is what Israel wants it to be. So there is no hiding behind, oh, well, that's just anti-Semitism. That's just anti-Semitic. It doesn't exist on Wikipedia unless they want it to. And for all you dumbasses that think anybody can edit Wikipedia, you can't. It wouldn't make any sense. If anybody could edit Wikipedia, you could just go to Wikipedia, click edit, click select all, click delete, and click save, and fuck Wikipedia all up. You can suggest an edit, which is then sent to the editors, and the editors will decide if what you've said is balanced and Zionist in nature. Oh, look. Look, Joe got himself a little hurt, didn't he? Let's talk about how Israel used October 7th. There were no Israeli casualties. No Israelis died, and no Israelis were taken hostage on October 7th. It's literally a fake false flag. You have zero proof of any of it. You can't find it. I've tried. I highly suggest you look up Hamas attacks Israel October 7th on YouTube and see what footage you can find. See what proof you can find. You'll see videos of people that are in a car who are trying to get away from the music festival, who get out of their car and start running out into an open field because they're trying to get away from a shooter. What sense does that make? Anyway, the Brit Milah, or bris, is a ceremony of circumcision in Judaism and Samaritanism, during which the newborn male's foreskin is surgically removed. According to the book of Genesis, God commanded the biblical patriarch Abraham to be circumcised, an act to be followed by his descendants on the 8th day of life, symbolizing the covenant between God and the Jewish people. So why do we do it? Well, it's actually because that covenant was that Abraham circumcised himself and all of his slaves. So for us to do it is to be marked as property. Do you guys know that your God doesn't care how you treat other people? Doesn't care how you treat the earth, how you treat the animals? Doesn't care how good of a person you are in your everyday life? You know the thing that stops God from destroying the earth again? Circumcision. As long as we continue to circumcise, God's going to keep showing us rainbows to show that he's not going to destroy the earth again. Today is generally performed by a mohel on the 8th day after the infant's birth and is followed by the celebratory meal known as Sedut Mitzvah, where a lot of times they eat it or they eat the placenta and shit. It's really gross. But you guys know why it's done on the 8th day? So with us, the Goyim are circumcised within hours of being born. We traumatize our children to the point where we can't even really wrap our heads around how bad that is. Like you start talking about circumcision to your average dude and they're like, ooh, I don't even want to think about it. I don't want to think about it. And we do this to our babies within hours of life. Do you think maybe that has to do with why we have such a penis-focused, prison-filled society? So rape and the largest prison population in the world and violent crime and all that shit. Do you ever think maybe that has to do with the fact that 99% of the males are put through this disgusting, vile ritual at birth. See, with them, they believe that the woman's vagina is so toxic, is such a disgusting thing, that every month after menstruation, they have to go to something called a mikvah. A mikvah is built even before the temple for worship is built in whatever town they go to. This thing is super important to them. And basically, it's this standing pool of nasty ass, old ass, disgusting water that's just a standing fucking cesspool of nastiness. That so once the woman believes she's stopped bleeding, she goes to the mikvah where she's checked, and if they find any blood, she has to wait another 7 days, and then she can come back and get cleansed. If they don't find any blood, then she can go get cleansed, and she has to go get into this water, and it magically cleanses her gushy, her mini, and then she runs home and has sex with her husband. Like, this is for real. This exists everywhere. And so, because the newborn, even if it's a circumcision, because the newborn passes through this disgusting blood, with the blood, and oh, it's so nasty. The baby has to wait the 7 days to be purified. It takes 7 days to purify from the evil vagina. And so they at least wait 8 days. And if you've ever seen the difference between an 8-day-old baby and a newborn baby, it's like it's night and day. The 8-day-old baby is almost double the size. The 8-day-old baby has experienced love, food, happiness, warmth, laughter, joy, all these different things that this baby has experienced because it's older than an hour or two old. We do this to our children, or we let them do it to our children within hours of being born. And we all think it's some nice thing, whatever. No, they don't even numb it. There's nothing. They take the baby, basically crucify it. It's strapped down so its arms are crucified and its leg. They put a little bell thing over the top of it that has a blade on the inside, and when they spin it, it cuts it. And the baby goes, ah, ah, and then goes into shock. And they take the baby and put it back in the incubator all alone and cold and fucking freaking out until it comes out of shock. And then they take it to the mother and father, and oh, look, little man had his surgery. He's sleepy. No, he's coming out of shock. It's fucking disgusting. And it's all to prevent God from destroying the earth? Because it's not medically necessary. In Europe, they've banned the practice because it's the benefits do not outweigh the dangers, the risks. It's completely unnecessary. And yet it's the foundation of their shit. It's the number one mitzvah. No other mitzvah is higher, and it's as important as any other mitzvah, and no other mitzvah is higher. It's why Hanukkah is celebrated. And I bet you don't know that. I bet all of you experience, like here in Detroit, there's a 30-foot Hanukkah, a 30-foot menorah that's erected downtown. Big giant metal one with fire coming out of each fucking candle. And it's all paid for by taxpayer money. This thing costs money. The amount of gas this thing requires just to keep it going. 30-foot menorah in the middle of town. In a country where they make up maybe 2%, maybe 3% of the population. We definitely don't do anything like that for Muslims. And the thing is, again, Christmas has been turned into this goofy ass, I love Christmas. because it has nothing to do with Jesus and shit. Because it's all about us just being good to each other and giving gifts and receiving gifts and all that shit. I love Christmas. Everybody is just better around Christmas time. But their whole Hanukkah bullshit is not that. It's not this all-inclusive, everybody's welcome, let's all celebrate holiday. And most people have no idea what it's even about. It's a celebration of the right the right to circumcise. If it's medically necessary, how did they know that all the way? They just happen to be doing this medically necessary thing 2,000 plus years ago? I don't think Judaism is as old as people think it is. That's why there's not a lot of history regarding them. Not the only history regarding them is the stuff that they've sort of like created. They don't find a bunch of artifacts and whatnot that perpetuate that idea. I think Judaism was created in the 1800s to you know, as a, you know, as the like master religion, master cult. I mean, again, I think it's all 1800s kind of bullshit. I think the reset happened somewheres around there. I think it's later than most people think. But I mean, they flat out tell you that Hebrew was invented in the 1900s. Report this dude. He's telling too much truth. What have I said that's wrong? Isn't it funny how they're just crying and please? What am I saying that's wrong? If what you do and believe is correct, then me talking about it shouldn't be a problem, should it? But the idea that you know, well, their history was oral history forever. That's why there's not a lot of accounts of it. There's no, you know, ancient writings and shit, because it was all oral history forever. Most people don't realize the first Hebrew dictionary is so if Hebrew is this ancient language, and there's all these scrolls and depictions of it and all this other shit, where did it go? How did it disappear up until the 1900s when Eliezer ben Yehuda revived it, invented it? You haven't said one truthful thing. Yep. Hanukkah isn't a celebration of the Maccabees, huh? Matitza B'Pei isn't what I said it is, and the bris, and none of that shit's true, huh? The covet with Abraham, the rainbows, all that shit, none of that shit's true, huh? Just making it all up. Look at how desperate they are. Nick is crashing out. He can't understand or accept truth. Right. He's totally freaking out to the point where he's yelling. He's got the cap locks on because he's yelling. Because you're, Y-O-U-R, in Satan's little season, dude. Yup. It's so embarrassing how stupid you guys are. You're so stupid you've been tricked into not just believing in the invisible good guy, but the invisible bad guy too. No, he lies, LOL. He literally is a lie. Yep, I'm lying. Isn't it crazy how this is what they do? This is all they can do. You're lying. You're lying. It's amazing how you know, how are we losing to these pieces of shit? This is the best they can do and we're losing to them? This is who's in charge? It's so embarrassingly stupid. let's meet up, and you can call me stupid then, right? Detroit, right? We're in Detroit. There's me behind the camera. Okay, Nick. Okay, little dick Nick. Little dick Nick. He's upset right now. Him's crying. I can't argue with you, so I want to fight. Or I'm going to talk like I want to fight. It's so funny because it's like they don't even realize that everything they're saying proves the point even more. Right? Just this cry, baby, cry. Oh, Nick, you forgot to hold the cap locks down. How do we know you're yelling? You're not yelling anymore, little dick Nick? It's just so funny. Watts? Did you just write WOTS? What's the point in doing YouTube? Because nobody likes you and they all think you're one big loser, you weirdo, right? Yep, all these people that continue to be here day after day, begging for my attention, mad because I think we should kill pedos and overthrow the J control scheme. Oh yes, gosh, I sure hope those people like me. So much of a coward, he blocked me. Yep, I sure did block you. That's why you're still talking shit. If you knew anything about the education system or cared at all, you'd understand getting a high GPA just means you're... Why would you even believe anything this dumbass says? Little Dick Nick did not get a high GPA. Like, it's just stupidity. All they do is make dumbass claims here. What does the word vibe? It means it somehow just went away, and then it came back because Elijah Ben Yehuda and his little group got together and using Aramaic, specifically Arabic, to compensate for the deficiencies in the language, he wrote the first Hebrew dictionary. If it doesn't, like, obviously they're not going to flat out say it, but if you just put the pieces together, it makes sense. How did it just disappear? Where did it go? Why is Arabic, and even when you look at Hebrew, it's basically like you stick a mirror up to Arabic and then just write it all, you know, the mirror version of it. Why anybody would be a Christian or a Muslim is beyond me. Those two of the three Abrahamic religions. Especially Christians, man, you're all so dumb. How do you even get that dumb? This guy failed history, yup, let's see. Because I've been wrong about so much already, right? Let's see what this has to say. Oh, and this is one of those completely locked pages that nobody's allowed to edit. This is Eliezer Ben Yehuda, born Eliezer Yitzhak Perlman. You know, they all have to change their name to sound more Semitic. Born January 7th, 1858. Died December 16th, 1922. Was a Russian Jewish linguist. So what's a Russian Jewish? You don't hear anybody referred to as a Russian Christian. A Russian, whatever Russian beliefs are. You don't hear him referred to as that. Jewish is not from a place, especially back then. But he was a Russian Jewish linguist, lexicographer, and journalist who immigrated to Jerusalem in 1881 when the Ottoman Empire still ruled it. He is renowned as the lexicographer of the first Hebrew dictionary and is also the editor of the Jerusalem-based Habzi, one of the first Hebrew newspapers published in Palestine. To accomplish the task, Ben Yehuda insisted with the Committee of the Hebrew Language that, to quote the committee records, In order to supplement the deficiencies of the Hebrew language, the committee coins words according to the rules of grammar and linguistic analogy from Semitic roots, Aramaic and especially Arabic roots. In 1903, Ben Yehuda, along with many members of the Second Aliyah, supported Theodore Herzl's Uganda Scheme proposal. Did you guys know about the Uganda Scheme proposal? Where because, it's so important that Palestine is the Jewish homeland, blah, blah, blah. Well, they didn't think they could quite take Palestine back then because Palestine was actually, had its own system and government and military. This is before they instituted British Mandate Palestine, where they made the Palestinians easy to take over by making them completely reliant on the British. Prior to that, they just couldn't have done it. World War I was about establishing British Mandate Palestine so that they could bring about World War II to give the excuse and then create Israel. It's all about Israel. But the Uganda scheme was because of a rise in anti-Semitism. They've been playing the same fucking card forever. They were talking about taking a large portion of Uganda and giving it to the Jews as a Jewish homeland until they could take over Palestine. But because it would have been too much work and they couldn't just enslave black people because that shit was going out of favor. So it would have looked really, really weird if some Jews were all in a bunch of Ugandan Africans and making them, build their fucking colony. And because Uganda was so far out of the way, it would have been hard to give them all the supplies they demand. They went against it. But they were almost, the British almost gave a portion of Uganda to the Jews for their temporary homeland until they could take over Palestine. It's fucking crazy. As soon as you start looking into the Theodore Herzl character, you're seeing like evil incarnate. Ben Yehuda raised his son, Ben Zion, meaning son of Zion, entirely in Hebrew. He did not allow his son to be exposed to other languages during his childhood, and even berated his wife for singing a Russian lullaby. What a good guy. His son thus became the first native speaker of Hebrew in modern times. Man, I am so good at making shit up that I got Wikipedia to create an article that nobody's allowed to edit to prove my point. Aren't I spectacular? Like, he needs to go at McDonald's Wi-Fi. Look at this crybaby. Look at this crybaby. Can't actually fucking say anything, so now he's just blah, blah, blah. He's talking all kinds of shit. He's only thinking of 1947 from then till now, instead of going back like 3,000 years and finding out Israel is rightfully... Yep. It's rightfully theirs because they say it did 3,000 years ago. Oh, and the only proof you have is what they tell you. They tell you it belongs to them, so it belongs to them. Again, I can't imagine, especially if this dumb friar is in the United States, if a Native American came up to him and was like, hey, you got to get out of your house. I'm keeping the house as is. Just get out. This used to be my land. It's rightfully my land because we say so. Like, it's just so stupid. Their whole argument is based on you being a Christian. If you're not a Christian, then they have nothing to say. That's why you're a Christian. It's because it's their only argument. Christianity is designed to make you subservient. When you read the Bible, again, the Bible is a Jewish fairy tale. All of the characters are Jewish. Jesus is a Jew. All of the main characters are Jewish. And they mention the Gentiles as a separate group multiple times. Those Gentiles. Over there. Not us. Those Gentiles. Oh, I suppose I should be allowed to go back to Africa because we all came from Africa and that's our homeland. Yes. The modern state of Israel was founded in 1948, but the distinct Jewish nation in the land of Israel has its ancient roots with a continuous history. No, it doesn't. There is no continuous history. It's just nonsense. The continuous history is Palestine. And you see it over and over again. As far back as you can read about, they'll talk about Palestine. It's just nonsense. They literally don't have anything. There's proof of it. No, there's not. No, there's not. And again, it just came out that 95% of Israelis don't have Semitic blood. They're from Europe. They're from Russia and Ukraine especially. They're from the United States. Ukraine, why do you think Ukraine is such a big deal in the whole scheme of things? Oh, look, we have some dumb Christian who just can't, they can't, Christ is king. Christ, they can't even formulate reasonable fucking words or art. It's just Christ is king. Literally all they can come up with. Play mixed up the chemicals in the drug lab today. Play mixed up. Gotcha. Look at how fucking this is. Look at how stupid you guys are. You just can't. He just dislikes us for no reason, but really, I could swear it's because of your pedophilic nature, the genocide, your supremacist attitude, your arrogance. Like, there's lots of reasons. I can give you lots of reasons why I dislike you and want to eliminate you. Give me some good reasons why we shouldn't. It literally hurts me just watching him struggle. Oh, I'm struggling so much with this. Christ is the most proven historical figure out there. Again, they just love saying this shit. Where? When? What are you talking about? What proof is there of Christ? The oldest scripture stuff that we had prior to conveniently finding the Dead Sea Scrolls, which again are all Jewish, somehow is dated to 70 AD because, they have the magical date machine. But prior to finding those conveniently in 46, right in the Israel, the earliest scripture stuff they had was the 900s. You're just stupid. I can't even type right now because listening to this guy speak nonsense constantly hurts my brain. Oh, Jesus. Oh, carbon dating. Yep, because you guys all have that carbon dating machine, don't you? And it's not all fucking friars that control that narrative. No. We should just believe it because we're told to. Who did the Christians persecute during the Crusades and why? Well, the whole thing about them being kicked out of 109 countries in the last 1,000 years, the one part that's never really asked is why. You can cry that you're the most persecuted people in the world, but why is it? A big part of it has to do with the circumcision stuff, you sick pieces of shit. The rest of it is because of how awful you are. It's not like there's this history, just like there's not a current, like again, nobody in the comments is talking about how good they are. Listing off all this good shit about them and their beliefs and how fair they are and all these examples of them coming to the aid of other people and all this shit. Even inventing. There's not even giving us a list of inventions and shit. They're just leeches. And all they can do is tell you not to talk about it. But they can't give you any good reason. And this is probably why they were kicked out. Is this notion that, well, this is all ours. This is ours. You need to listen to us because we say so. Here's a book we wrote. Listen. Like, no wonder no one likes them. Any group that's been kicked out of over 100 countries in the last 1,000 years was rightfully done so. But they just want to pretend that people they don't know why. They just don't like them. For some strange reason, they just don't like them. They're so good. They're always helping people so much, and yet still people just don't like them. It's just the same crybaby shit over and over again. I'm answering your dumb questions. Why were they persecuted? Again, according to the dumb narrative that you're given about the Crusades and all this other bullshit. If you believe any of this shit, like, you guys are on just different levels, right? You guys are, I've surpassed your level a long time ago. You know, just dumb shit. Like the Crusades is the same kind of dumb shit as Exodus. Exodus, you're supposed to believe that 2 million people wandered around the desert for 40 years. The desert. Hot as fuck in the day, cold as fuck at night desert. For 40 years, 2 million of them. Are we there yet? Oh, my foot. Are we there yet? Stop touching me. What are you doing? Stop touching. I'm hungry. But it's the same thing with the Crusades and all these other narratives that we're given. Where these 300,000 Napoleonic troops were marching across the countryside. Really? Who fed them? Where'd they sleep? How did they all get armed and dressed and all that? What are we talking about there? Mainly, who fed them? How did they eat? These are just basic things that you're just supposed to overlook, but you can't. Look at all this shit. Look at these crybaby comments. It's not like they're going to address anything I say. They're just going to keep crying and crying and crying. Satan Rome, the earth and Christianity is the most lost religion because he knows he's scared of it. Again, why do you have to do that? If I'm wrong, why don't you just focus on what I'm wrong about instead of fantasizing? Hey, I'm scared. I'm so scared of the Christianity. I'd be a lot more scared of it if I had young children. Will you make Nathan a bagel, please?
When I get back.
Huh? Literally, it takes 5 seconds.
I'll do it when I get back.
Yeah, fuck it. I'll just do it. Ugh. I'll just do it. No, it's fine.
You can wait 5 minutes.
He's been waiting.
Okay.
Well, I mean, again, your coffee isn't more important.
I'm not going to get my coffee. I'm going to let the dogs out.
Oh.
Down the street. 5 minutes.
Okay, well,
It'll be fine.
I'll just do it. It's not a big deal. Oy vey. Oy vey, gosh, a Vega. Oh my gracious gosh. Oh. 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 I'm make you look foolish for exercising your rights. Great point. Like that, they're doing it, but what they're... Nick! You want a bagel too?
That'll be part of your lunch, then I'll give you fruit and vegetables to go with it. I'll do that when I get back.
Oy vey. Oh gosh. Oh really? Jesus. You are cursed by God for rejecting Jesus. Oh my God. You're just so stupid. It's like, it's just so strange that people can be so stupid. Like they want to believe in a thing, but because of their own arrogance, they won't, they think they can believe it how they want to. And like I literally say this every single time, and it's sort of like the proof positive. This is the thing that proves the thing, right? Why are you a Christian? why are you a Muslim? What research have you done into the other things? If you're a Christian, then what have you done with Islam, with Mormonism, Scientology, the African religion you've never heard of? What have you done to debunk all of those other things that make you so confident in your Christianity that you know that's the right thing? Same thing with Islam. What makes you so sure that Islam is right and Christianity isn't? And I know the argument that most Muslims make, which is that as far back as they're told Qurans go, every Quran that's ever found is always the exact same, whereas Christianity and the Bible has clearly been rewritten a whole bunch of times. I get that part of it. And really, as far as like if you were making a chart of who makes more sense, well, then that would go into the favor of the Muslims in that regard. It'd be hard to argue against that point, if that's what you were using as criteria. Why was the Bible rewritten so much if it's true? It literally says that it's not supposed to be rewritten. But it's been clearly rewritten. And then there's the whole King James aspect of it that funny how most people have no idea who King James is. They don't even think about, like, the King James Bible is because there was a person, King James. Like, they're stupid as hell. But it's such a simple question. It's the same thing with even the Jews. Especially knowing the atrocities associated with that pedo cult. Why would you ever willingly label yourself one of them, knowing what they do? Like, it's just insane, right?
Hey, Dad. Hey, big ol'. The baby bird came.
Huh?
My favorite fruit got a river.
I have no idea what you're talking about. It's really fucking wild, man. It's wild how, like, people are not just willing slaves, but like adamantly, I want to fight you because you don't believe in the slavery stuff that we do. And when you look at the Bible and you look at how the world works today, you can see why you've been programmed to be a Christian. The Bible is not about you as Christians. It's all about how much better they are, how they're chosen, how all this other shit. And it says, if you're not chosen, you're a slave. Right? That's what the Bible presents. There's all these Jews who make these magic God phones, and somehow they can call God on their magic altar phone. And every time they talk to God, God's like, okay, well, you see, if you just walk this way, everything you can see from this way over is yours now. And we're just supposed to believe that these Jews came out of the woodwork and were like, hey, everybody in this town, I know you might not have ever seen me before, but I just talked to God on the God phone, and he said, all of this is mine. And everybody was like, oh, okay, that sounds good. But it's literally all Jewish fairy tales. They mention the Goyim, or the Gentiles, several times as a separate group of people. But, why would you ever associate with that shit? And when you look at it from that perspective, that it's all about... What?
I walked down there and his truck there. I called him. I don't know what's going on.
When you look at it for what it is, and how it paints you as this secondary character, Christians, you believe that the bad guys of your Bible, Satan's not the bad guy in the Bible, not the main bad guys. Abraham is the main bad guy, along with the children of Abraham. Those are the bad guys. Those are the people that literally killed your superhero. Your Christian God's only son is killed by these people, and you believe that those are the people that are your Christian God's chosen favorite people. Do you not see how insane? Like, can you imagine if somebody killed your kid and you were like, oh man, you're the best person ever. I'm going to give you favor, the one that killed my kid, over all the people who are like really supportive to me and, you know, bring me stuff and help me out. No, the person that killed my kid, you're the one that gets all the favor. Do you understand how fucking stupid that is? And yet that's what you believe. You have to believe it. And so when you look at the way the world works right now, where they're literally stealing all of your tax dollars, there's something called a memorandum of understanding, which is signed every 10 years. Trump's about to sign the next one. The previous one was signed by Obama, but then wasn't quite put into play until Trump got in office, where there was some amendments made to it. But the one that we're currently in is $38 billion over 10 years. And initially it was said that Netanyahu had to agree to concessions, two concessions, to be able to get that $3.8 billion a year cash lump sum payment first month of every fiscal year. No strings attached, no, you know, monitoring where it goes, nothing. We just give them $3.8 billion every single year to start the year. We end up giving them way more by the end of the year. But that shit was signed, and to get that, Netanyahu had to agree to, one, that money was to be used to buy weapons from the United States. They weren't allowed to use that money to own weapons. They had to use that money to buy weapons from us to create the illusion to the people. Because we've been told for such a long time that Israel stimulates our economy by buying so many weapons from us. The reality is they're just giving our money back to us. And that was part of the stipulation, was to maintain that illusion. The second stipulation was that they weren't allowed to ask for any more money until this thing had run out. Now that's just a joke. That's just a fucking joke. But by the time it went into, you know, it was put in play fully, those two stipulations, those two concessions were removed and replaced with the United States will now leave a cache of weapons in Israel for emergency purposes that Israel has access to anytime they need, and we'll just refill it. And you can remember last year or some shit like that, they were saying that the United States was going to give Ukraine a whole bunch of ammunition, and they went to Israel to check the stash and it wasn't there. Remember that whole story that was like sort of swept under the rug? $3.8 billion every year. And Trump's going to sign the new one. I prediction that the next memorandum of understanding, which is, it's called a memorandum of understanding and not a treaty, because a treaty means it's then voted on, it's out in the public, and it's not voted on, but it's out in the public, and there's monitoring. You know, when we give money through a treaty, we monitor what happens with it. This memorandum of understanding, according to the legal definition, is above a gentleman's agreement. But it's allowed to be kept under wraps. It's allowed to be hidden from us. Why would they hide it from us? But Trump's going to sign one for over $100 billion. They're going to get over $100 billion over the next 10 years, which is $10 billion every year. And once the exchange rate happens, that $3.8 billion becomes about $15 billion. So imagine, you know, when we're giving them $10 billion, it's going to become around, almost $4 billion or $40 billion a year. And we're not the only ones that do it. Canada gives them $2 billion a year. Australia gives them another $1.2 billion a year. And then there's countless others that I just don't know of, right? But see what they did by making themselves the synagogue of Satan, blah, blah, blah. Well, if they program you to be a Christian, What's the antithesis of the Christian, of the good Christian? What's the one thing you definitely don't want to be if you're a Christian, right? You don't want to be associated with Satan. So if they make themselves into the Satan, narrative, that's going to keep you away from it. You're going to be like, I don't even want to know. I don't even want to learn. I don't want to know because that has to do with Satan. I got my answer. It's a built-in protection. They put it in there. They gave you the Bible. You're completely allowed to be an atheist. Why do you want to talk about things you don't believe in? I love that argument. Why do I want to talk about things that I don't believe in that directly affect my life? That shouldn't have no effect on my life, but do. Bro, is religion real or not? If you can't see the fallacies, at least see the hypocrisy. I swear, this guy is just out to offend every single group he can possibly offend. Yes, you know me. Anti-gay, race of any kind. Nope. I'm just against the programming, especially the shit that has to do with you friars. And unfortunately, Christianity is friar programming. Again, look at the way the world works now. We are supposed to put our needs to the side. Like, we don't need $3.8 billion a year to fix our roads, to fix the crumbling infrastructure here. We couldn't use $3.8 billion in a government pedophile hunter program, the task force to combat pedophilia. We don't have that, do we? We have the task force to combat anti-Semitism, spelled the old way, by the way. Did you guys know that in 2021, they decided that anti-Semitism, which was spelled ANTI-SEMITISM, since it was coined in the early 1880s as a word to oppose exactly what Semitism is, the supremacy, the policy and predisposition favorable to them that was everywhere in Germany. The Germans were absolutely, because they were being run by these pieces of shit. That's what led to World War I. It's always the same thing. But in 2021, they decided that in order to hide the fact that Semitism was a thing, they didn't want the Goyim to believe that anti-Semitism opposed something called Semitism. So they changed the spelling of a word that had been the same way for over 100 years to now from ANTI-SEMITISM, which is how the task force spells it, to now all one word, ANTI-SEMITISM, all lowercase, all one word, to hide it from us. That's what they tell us. You guys don't think so? Watch. Okay. So the primary spelling, this is the AI overview, okay? Don't even have to look for it. The primary spelling change was from ANTI-SEMITISM to ANTI-SEMITISM as adopted by organizations like the Associated Press and the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance to emphasize that anti-Semitism is a single, unified concept of Jew hatred rather than an opposition to some hypothetical Semitic race or people or peoplehood. This change removes the hyphen and the capitalized S to avoid implying the existence of a Semitic peoplehood and to clearly denote that hatred towards Jewish people. But that's not even real. Because it's not, we're not talking about a Semitic race And this is how they're switching it up, to even switching this up to make it seem like it's not what it is. But they're hiding the idea of Semitism from you. Right? Why would they do that if it was nothing, if it wasn't something atrocious? Why would they hide it from you? Tell me some other word that you know of that was coined in the 100 years ago plus, that the spelling had to be changed. We had hearings to change the spelling in 2020s, or any time really. Like, it's all just so obvious. It's all so obvious. They don't hide this shit. Look at how, instead of Epstein list proves everything he's saying. Well, the Epstein list is, I mean, we don't even know what we're talking about here. Like, in my mind, the Epstein list would be a list of the names that they found on all the CDs and tapes and DVDs and different media mediums, recording mediums that they found, flash drives and shit, inside the safes in each of the Epstein residents. You know, they absolutely already admitted that they found a bunch of, you know, some things had, like, they would have the name of the famous person, the name of the victim, how old they were, like, all this shit. They found all that. So as far as a list goes, yeah, that's one thing. But to me, like, the most important aspect of the Epstein story is the Friar narrative that's getting overlooked. Because when you look at the creation of this fake fucking character in Epstein, I believe it was, you know, it was always about him being caught. It was always about the distraction that is taking place. Because at the end of the day, imagine if all the people talking about Epstein were instead talking about the genocide that's taking place. You know? This is a card that they've played. The reality is none of us would know about Epstein if they didn't tell us to know about Epstein. We wouldn't have even asked about Epstein because nobody even knew who he was. We aren't talking about some famous guy. We're talking about some behind-the-scenes player who is simply the Robert Maxwell character 2.0. Because you can't look into Epstein without talking about Maxwell. Robert Maxwell, the Israeli spy who did more for Israel than could today be said, according to the prime minister who eulogized him at his highest ranking Israeli military funeral after supposedly being found dead, which he never was. You're right. Ghislaine's dad, Robert, owned the publishing company that created the school books. You know, and the person, the company that gets that contract is the one that's essentially willing to say, we'll do the most amount of work with the least amount of creative input. At least according to the narrative. But it's also why you never hear about the Jewish bad guys in history. Like, even, you know, when you're talking about the Hitler narrative, you guys know Stalin was basically doing the same thing but a lot worse in Russia. Stalin and the Bolshevik Jews. The Bolshevik Jews, they always leave that part out. But they were killing between 50 and 60 million Christians, supposedly, right around the same time. And yet, for some reason, Stalin is all but forgotten. And so they've given us this Epstein narrative because, again, you would have never known. It's just like the whole Kanye bullshit, right? Since when Kanye lost his $2 billion in public, Kanye has said all kinds of shit about the Jews, about the industry, all this stuff. You don't hear about it. Even though he put out the Hail Hitler song, it was nothing. I always, when I heard it, I was like, yeah, okay, it's cool and all, but he's not really saying anything. It's actually kind of a dumb song. And it turns out it was all just a play, because now Kanye's sorry and he changed the words, and you know, it's fucking crazy. But the only reason you knew that Kanye said anything in the first place is because the news told you Kanye said it. You guys don't follow Kanye West. Nobody gives a shit about what Kanye West says and does. But while they were putting Netanyahu, Bezalel Smotrich, Itmar Ben-Gvir, Avi Moaz, this openly supremacist Israeli coalition in charge of Israel in November, during the election that the people overwhelmingly voted for, you were all distracted by the fucking, the Kanye shit. It's what they do. It's sleight of hand. And as soon as the election shit was over and you know, the plan was initiated, we stopped caring about Kanye. All Kanye ever did was throw black people under the bus anyway. The second time people paid attention to Kanye thing, the first time was what he said in the tweets and blah, blah, blah. Then he was interviewed, and when he was interviewed, all he did was talk about Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Shaq, Jay-Z and Beyonce. Like he just like Cat Williams. Take the heat off of them and put it on black people. All you Cat Williams fucking lovers, you guys are crazy. While you are pixelating. Yeah. Because it makes sense. Like, again, this is what they're focusing on. Clearly, they're focused on the video. Clearly, they're being said and all that shit. But what they're going to focus on is the thing I have no control over. I'm in the middle of a fucking flat town that's surrounded by cell phone towers. There's literally no reason. I'm with T-Mobile. There's literally no reason why my feed should even be interfered with a little bit. But this is what you guys want to focus on, because that's all you can focus on. Nothing I'm saying isn't true. Go and tell everybody how Itmar Ben-Gvir is interviewed, hold the hood ornament from the Prime Minister's car, and he said, look, we could get his car, we can get him. Later, he like it's just, you know, it's all just obvious. I mean, it really is. And like I say, you're all distracted by Epstein. Instead of looking at what makes, like, how, you know, people keep talking about how did Epstein get to be where he was, but then they don't actually ask the questions. His dad was supposed to be a gardener and his mom was a part-time teacher, substitute teacher. There's no way he should have had any sort of privilege like he did, but somehow he did. I don't think his narrative's real. You know, they just created it and they associated with him with people like William Barr, like Bill Barr, for some credibility, but he didn't exist. Just like Melania. Melania is the power behind the throne. Melania is the Israeli agent. Just like Ghislaine was the power in that relationship, which is why she's where she is. Although Epstein isn't dead. It's been proven pretty substantially. The lack of investigation should show you that. Because they know they can't prove that he died. Right? That should wake you up. The reason there's so much of this bullshit is because they can't prove he's actually dead, and they don't want that to become the narrative. There are pictures of the supposed dead Epstein that were somehow taken. There's a great video about it on the Scooper of Coop page. Kid's a fucking dumbass Christian, but, you know, that doesn't mean everything he does is wrong. But all you got to do is search Epstein not dead, I believe. Let's see if it comes up for me. Let's see if I can find it for you guys real quick. But this kid did a really good job of putting together all of the pieces. It's a, you know, it's a great example of it. Yeah, there it is. Epstein is alive. Here's the proof. By Coop. This is literally one of the better docs I've seen about it. Even though, again, he leaves some shit out. And he doesn't focus exactly where he should have.
There was a hole in the market for Epstein information. That being any
But if you just look, like this is, and it's funny because this is old. Like I've known this one for a long time. The pictures of the supposed dead body, the ear shape and nose shape don't line up. And the fact that there's even pictures in the first place, which is what Coop pointed out, is just another piece of the puzzle. There shouldn't have been pictures. You know, there shouldn't have been a photographer that just happened to be there. And that photographer has gone silent. He doesn't want to talk. Like Coop reached out to him, or somebody reached out to him, and they recorded the conversation, and they were like, yeah, we were really like wanted to know, this is a great photo. This could be one of the photos of the year. But he was like, no, I don't want to talk about it. I want to talk about it. And there is no real, like, there's no catalog. There's no portfolio there. This person barely exists, if he even does. And why you would think he's dead to begin with. I mean, literally, they already played this movie with the exact same characters who are associated. You know, you're supposed to believe that Ghislaine Maxwell moved in with Epstein almost immediately after her dad died. And her dad supposedly fell over over on his yacht into the Atlantic Ocean and was floating around for like 12, 15 hours or some shit before they realized he was gone. And they just happened to find his body in pristine condition. Rigor mortis hadn't even set in yet. And there's no definitive agreement. 3 different autopsy doctors couldn't agree on exactly how he died. But the fact that they supposedly found his body to begin with is so unlikely. You don't just float around in the violent Atlantic Ocean with sharks and all kinds of shit in there for 15 hours and then just wash up miles and miles away. Look, I think we have a racist, somebody trying to be racist, but just making themselves look stupid. Yeah, rich people don't like each other and value alone time and space. The 12 to 15 hour part doesn't surprise me. Right. You don't even know what you're fucking talking about. You're just stupid. Like, so what I'm supposed to believe is that there is a Robert Maxwell, not just supporter, but biographer here who's going to know all this shit and here to debunk the Robert Maxwell stuff? Who the fuck is on Robert Maxwell's side other than the piece of shit Jays? This prick sold a compromised software to at least 50 plus organizations throughout the United States, high level organizations that allowed Israel into all these organizations. It was a compromised software called Promise. I mean, literally the Epstein narrative and the Robert Maxwell narrative, like people love to talk about the Kennedy Lincoln narrative and the connections. The connections between Robert Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein make that look like a bunch of coincidence. It's insane. And it's just as ridiculous to think that there are all these people on here that are mad at me for talking about it. But here, I'm going to, so if you ask all these profiles, like, why are you even here? Yeah, they are the worst people in the world, Ryan. The worst people in the world. But you can ask these people, why are they here? This is the umpteenth day you've been here in a row for hours on end, begging for my attention while I ignore you for the most part. Doing everything you can to try to shoot the messenger because I'm the guy that thinks we should kill pedos and overthrow the friar supremacy that controls the world, commits the genocide, commits the pedophilia, all that shit. I think we should overthrow them. Who in their right fucking mind disagrees with me? Who's like, no, we need to keep giving Israel money and sending American troops over to die, and we need to do all that shit because Israel is just so great? Who's gonna say that? Who thinks that Israel $3.8 billion a year is the best use of that money? We could not use that money for anything here in the United States. Who doesn't think we should kill pedos? Right? You have to ask these questions. And so I ask these people, if you know that I'm here doing this, and yet you come every day for hours on end, trying your best to interfere, distract, shoot the messenger, everything you can do to try to, except for, you know, actually answer questions and engage in the proper conversation or defend Israel or the friars or anything. You can't defend any of it. What's your purpose for being here? Why would you waste so much life on me if I'm just some random guy who's wrong, who doesn't matter, who's not extremely dangerous to you? What would be the point? And so they're not going to actually answer that question. So that leaves us to answer the question. And the first example of it is act.io. Locked up Wikipedia page, so there is no, you know, anybody can edit Wikipedia. Not this page. But act.io was a social networking service used by supporters of Israel to oppose online anti-Israel content, such as the BDS boycott, divestments, and sanctions movement. Its activities were referred to as an, quote, online propaganda campaign and, quote, a virtual situation room of pro-Israel experts. Interesting. Pay attention. Act.il directed its users to, quote, missions, you know, missions like a military operation, missions to like, comment on, and share pro-Israel material on social media. It also asked users to flag, report, and respond to criticisms of Israel. Users were guided how to respond, which might entail writing a reply using the provided talking points. Hi, you better go back inside. You gotta go. Don't get in trouble. Go back inside. Go get Sissy. The provided talking points. So when you look at the responses that I get, it's not like they've been provided with, oh, Israel is good. Oh, the Jays are good. Oh, we do this, we do that. You're wrong because of this, you're wrong because of that. The provided talking points are, you know, you're crazy, take your meds, you're schizophrenic, you're on crack, you're deluded. You know, they love to use, you know, mental retardation and mental issues and you know, they love to use that as a weapon. That's why that whole concept of retarded people being so funny to begin with. They did that through Hollywoodism. You know, I posted on a page where some dumb Jay fell off a bicycle because he was too stupid to see the fucking skateboard. He ran into the skateboarder like it was the skateboarder needed to move. This guy's a fucking idiot. He fell down, hurt himself. Oh. And I wrote on his thing, Free Palestine. And immediately, some dumb piece of shit friar posts a picture of a kid whose face looks like Sloth from the Goonies. I don't say it to be like funny. I say it because it's what he looked like. He's got a helmet on and he's just kind of looking. He's severely, severely handicapped child. And it has that picture and says, Free Palestine, all spelled funny. And to think like, that's what you do? You think that is a good argument? You think that's a proper thing to post? You think posting this poor child's picture in any reason other than, hey, we should maybe give some money or something, like, you use that as a weapon? What kind of sick piece of shit are you? And of course, it's because you're a fucking piece of shit, Jay. That's what you guys do. You know? And these are the talking points that you're provided. Because they know you're all too inbred and stupid to actually handle this like reasonably. And they know there's nothing that can be said. Go look up find it for me. Send it to me, tell me what to look up. Where you have an Israeli or a friar making reasonable, decent points about Israel and their cult and how everything's okay and we should support them because of this. Find me that talking point. Find me that interview. Because anytime I ever see anything, it's crybaby, biblical shit. If you don't go with the biblical shit, then they start calling you names like, yeah, it's anti-supremacist. You're anti-Semitic. You're anti-Semitic. And then they tell you, once you say, yeah, whatever, then they say, well, you're not allowed to say that. And that's literally all they have. What could they possibly say? Oh, this is our land because we say so. Because a book we wrote we wrote about a couple of thousand years ago. Sorta, kinda says so. So I guess, you know. And never mind whose land it was before you were there, because that doesn't matter. It's just you say that this was your specific one little piece of land that you weren't on until you started committing genocide. Somehow you were driven out of there, even though lots and lots of Jews lived in Palestine prior to 1948. And there weren't any real complications except for when they would cause them. You know, it's this level of stupidity that's just so commonplace. The app also provided users with ready-made memes promoting Israel's perspective for them to share. Now, this is the most important part. Ready? By completing these missions, users earned points, unlocked badges, and had their scores displayed on leaderboards. They turned trolling into a real-life video game, where there were real-life prizes, real-life points, real-life everything. Show me something similar for somebody else. This is such commonplace information. There are Wikipedia pages about it. And remember, Wikipedia is not 100% true, but it is the truth that Israel wants you to have. Everything that we're reading, especially when it comes to Israel, is biased and is balanced and Zionist in nature, according to Naftali Bennett. So that accounts for the small percentage of actual humans that are here, right? But then let's talk about the automated side of things. Team Jorge is the name given to an outfit of Israeli contractors specialized in the use of malign cyber activities, including hacking, sabotage, and bot farm run social media disinformation campaigns to manipulate the outcomes of elections. They're so good at what they can do, they can manipulate elections. So fucking with some dude's YouTube feed probably isn't too difficult. Now, and also remember, this is just one. This is just one Israeli black ops organization exposed for this shit. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of different Israeli black ops organizations out there using this same technology. The group was exposed in February of 2023, not February, February, after an award-winning undercover operation by journalists from Israel and France. At least that's what it says here. If you actually go down and look a little bit more, you'll find out that it was France, Germany, Indonesia, Israel, Spain, Kenya, Tanzania, and the United States. But as part of a consortium of investigative journalists coordinated by Forbidden Stories. The organization has been active since at least 2015, just before Trump lost the election by 2,700,000 votes. And the APAC swamp that he promised he was going to drain, like he promised to lower gas prices and food prices. He promised to release the files. He promised to end all the wars with one phone call within 24 hours. All those promises. Remember, he promised he was going to drain the swamp? Well, that same APAC swamp put him in anyway. The APAC that him and Billary both spoke at earlier in the year and both pledged their allegiance to Israel. Remember we talked about it? APAC Policy Conference. That same APAC swamp put him in office anyway. Yeah, on paper, this organization goes back to right before that happened. This organization that specializes in hacking, sabotage, and bot farm run social media campaigns to manipulate the outcomes of elections. Because they were trying their best to get us to vote for Trump. Remember, if you remember right, they were doing everything they could to throw shade on Hillary towards the end of that election. From the hammers on the cell phones to even bringing up Danny Williams, Bill Clinton's illegitimate halfy kid, the Friday before the election, just to make her look that much worse. And it still didn't work. We still voted for her over that piece of shit. So they had to do the thing that they had only done 2 other times in modern history. And that was when George Bush Jr. won the elections both times. Well, lost the elections both times. And then the Electoral College had to step in to compensate for our mistake. Because we made a mistake. For the 3rd time in modern history, the Electoral College had to step and put Trump in place instead of Hillary. The same swamp that Trump was going to drain put him in office anyway. And Hillary, being the good little bitch that she was, didn't put up a stink. Like when Trump lost in 2020 and he made a big stink about it, Hillary actually won and would have been the first female president in all of history forever. forever her name would have been remembered as the first female president of the United States. And instead of fighting for that honor, after all the campaigns and all the bullshit she had all put up to get that final prize, she was like, nah, I'll see you guys later. Yeah, that's Team Jorge. The organization has been active since at least 2015 and boasts of having manipulated 33. There are some of you that'll hear 33 and be like, holy shit. There are others who will be like, that's weird. I hear that number a lot. And then there's others who just won't even notice. But 33 is something you should absolutely look into. 33 presidential elections worldwide. Oh no, don't worry, white people. Many, meaning 4 or more, were in Africa. Don't worry, shh. And in 27 cases with successful results. That's 82% of the time. 82% of the time, this one Israeli Black Ops organization attempted to manipulate the outcome of a presidential level election. They were successful. They only failed 6 times. And again, it's so commonplace that Wikipedia has an article about it. You'll see Sucker Dick, putting out videos about how proud he is that Facebook eliminated 1,000 troll profile, bot farm profiles out of China and 800 out of the Philippines. Guarantee you can't show me a single video of Sucker Dick bragging about eliminating Israeli profiles, fake Israeli profiles. And it's not even just fake Israeli profiles. This is a group. This is a designated Black Ops organization that's bragging about having an 82% success rate. 2, their activities were revealed following a 2022 sting operation in Tel Aviv, carried out by 3 undercover journalists who posed as prospective clients and filmed their interactions with Tal, T-A-L, Hanan, H-A-N-A-N, and his brother. They run it. The group's leader and former Israeli Special Forces operative. What a surprise. In which he explained the inner workings of the organization. Oh, God damn it. According to him, they've existed for more than 2 decades and have been engaged in propaganda and disinformation activities in more than 30 countries. Their services have been available to government intelligence agencies, political campaigns, and private companies that wish to covertly manipulate public opinion. This isn't some secret page. This is on Wikipedia. This is just one Israeli Black Ops organization. One of the organization's primary tools is a software package called Advanced Impact Media Solutions, or AIMS. Pay attention. The software automates centralized control of thousands of fake social media profiles across the board. And if you actually read the articles, not just the Wikipedia summary, he was bragging that they can create 30,000 profiles at a time. 30,000 avatars. They're not even bots. They're avatars. They're an advanced technology that whole consortium of journalist nerds hadn't seen that technology anywhere else. Said it was unfair to call them bots because they had multiple profiles. The same fake profile existed on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, all that shit. And it was all operated by the same system. Now imagine if they had 10 Black Ops organizations that could do this, each with the capability of creating 30,000 bot profiles at any given time. Do you think they could create stars on social media overnight if they wanted to? Do you think they could attack people like me? And so I started this by saying, I'm going to answer for why these people are here way more so than they ever even attempt to. Because if you ask all these fucking goofy ass fake profiles that have been here for 12 years and no subscribers or 6 subscribers, whatever, usually it's none. Usually it's none or like 3 at the most. Sometimes it's like 6 and 7. 12 years they've been on YouTube, no subscribers. Why are you here? Why do you oppose the guy who is exposing this shit? Why are you opposing the guy who thinks we should stop the slave masters from continuing to ruin our lives? Or at least not give us the best life possible? Because it's 2025, man. People suffering should be a thing of the past. The means, technology, and resources all exist to provide everyone with a really good quality of life with no one having to work. There would still need to be people to do jobs, but you would have guys like my brother-in-law who would love to be the guy that's responsible for pushing the button to give everyone power. We have the means and resources for no one to be suffering. For pedophiles to be fucking easily caught, tracked, executed. We just don't have it. We just don't live it. And that's by design. Filling us with conflict, filling us with distraction while they live that life. You know, laws just passed saying that the United States is responsible for Israeli soldiers' medical bills and retirements and all that shit. Well, guess what? They're all required to do service at 18. Technically makes them all reservists, meaning we have to pay for all of that shit. And we already do. Free housing, free food, free medical, free education, free everything. That's what they get. That's what they live. And we should all be living that life. But we don't. And like I say, ask yourself, who is opposing the guy that's talking about this? So much so that they're obsessed with me. Obsessed. I can go live any time of the day and they'll be here for as long as I'm live. They literally have nothing else going on in their lives. As soon as I go live, they're here. And they just camp out, begging for attention and comment after comment that refuses to deny or denounce any of the shit. I'm the bad guy for talking about it. Who the fuck do you think that is? Does it make more sense that it really is just a bunch of sick pieces of shit Trump supporters? Like, I can see how that's part of it, no doubt. But what's the incentive? You know, you come here and get outsmarted, get outwitted, you get called a pedophile, you're used. You know, I allow you to be here because you provide a fucking fantastic example of what I'm talking about. If I didn't want you here, you wouldn't be here. I control you. I allow you to be here. And you're just willingly going to play the part because you just have nothing else in your life that's important? You could literally be watching anything else on YouTube or any other platform, watching TV, DVDs, anything. You could be on your computer jerking off. You could be sleeping with somebody. You could be out fucking skydiving, bowling, roller skating, riding bikes, sightseeing. You could be doing anything else in the world and you're here every fucking day. Hundreds of comments begging for attention because I'm wrong? Where does this make sense in anyone's world? Who would live this life? I'm motivated because I'm right, because I'm doing the good thing. I'm speaking out against what we should all be speaking out against. What's your motivation? Other than the points. Act IL bullshit and Team Jorge bullshit. Ask them. They're not going to say anything. Look at this. Imagine being this dude thinking you're on some kind of divine mission. Yep, I think it's divine. That he's even worth spending money to flood his chat with people working against him. I did not be that he's just an evil individual. Yep. That's why you're here again. That's why you've been here on both videos today, the entire time, defending your pedophilia cult. Because I'm wrong. It's because I'm wrong. And yes, I should be making my kids spend time with me. Because I do a couple of hours here means when I'm done, I'm still doing this. I'm not parenting. I didn't parent while live by making my kids something to eat. Nah. I should be making them spend time with me 24 hours a day. That's the counter argument to why these guys are here and not doing anything else. These fucking pedo Trump supporting, Israel supporting pieces of shit who can't defend a single fucking thing. The one doofus was like, it's not my fault. I was born this way. Like he can't just denounce it and be like, no, I don't support this shit. As somebody that was in this cult, if I speak out, my voice is going to be louder than some average Goyim's voice. And yet, nope, that's not his thing. He's just going to swang on my nuts, begging for attention for hours because I'm wrong. I can't imagine it. I can't imagine doing the opposite. And if I were, like, I used to love to watch the 700 Club because it was information. It was informative. You know, I liked knowing what these dumbasses think. I liked having the extra ammunition for the fight, not because, you know, if I ever find myself in the fight, I start talking about the person's ponytail. I start talking about all kinds of stupid shit. I want to be able to engage in the conversation as is. And if I was ever given the opportunity to speak directly to Pat Robertson's bitch ass, or Gordon, or fucking Kelly, or whatever the fuck her name is, if I ever had that option and they were speaking directly to me, I would take advantage of it. I would do everything I could to ask them questions and make them look stupid in ways that, you know, they aren't prepared for. I definitely wouldn't create all these long, well, if I answer it, you're not going to listen anyway. So instead, I'm just going to say a bunch of other dumb shit that you won't listen to. But to give actual truthful answers, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be able to provide you with concrete proof like this is signed by bitch ass Netanyahu, acknowledging that they're focusing on me and they're doing. I can't do that. This requires you putting common sense, you know, on the table. What makes sense? Are these? Am I just supposed to believe that these are just losers? What do you want? Sure, go see. I don't know if they want to, but you can go see. Have fun with the dogs. Yeah, your hair's getting long. You're gonna let it grow this time? Go ahead. I have them trained to bite you. You had left a piece of your clothing over here, so I would have them smell it, and then I'd smack them and stuff, make them all mean. So they're used to biting your smell. So just be really careful. You know, this is, unfortunately, it's too easy. I wish this was more challenging. I wish I wasn't right. You know, I don't want to believe that this one group of people is such a disgusting piece of shit people that You know, they do all these horrible things. Like, that's the last thing I want to fucking. That's the last thing I want to be true. But they do nothing but prove it. And history does nothing but prove it. And videos like Hollywoodism, the most important film ever made, there'll be a link to it in the description, absolutely proves it. There's a quote from the movie where one of the descendants of the 6 Hollywood moguls that just happened to, create Hollywood, not really sure how they did it, but they just did it, and then ran it with an iron fist. And I guess at some point they just gave it up. No. But she said, essentially you could say, the American dream is the Jewish dream. Because they used Hollywood to not just create the America that they wanted to live in, but the world. It was a more powerful weapon than they realized. They used it to create your concept of history. Like, when you think of history, you think of like American history and European history. Like, there isn't a whole other world full of history. A lot of which contradicts the claims that your shit does. But it literally all comes down to arrogance. The number one thing we have to be able to override is the arrogance that all of you have. You're all arrogant pieces of shit and you don't realize it. And one of the best proofs is not just your religious affiliation, but shit like the Kennedy assassination. Because I guarantee none of you believe Oswald impossibly shot 3 shots in 8 minutes or 8 seconds, one of which was a magic bullet. I guarantee none of you believe that narrative. And if you do, you're going to be stupid, I guess. I don't know. I don't think anybody does. I don't think too many of us believe the whole story that 19 hijackers, many of which were found to still be alive after the fact, hijacked 3 planes and the yada, 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 9/11 bullshit. Most people don't believe that. But more so with Kennedy, you don't believe it. Which means you think your government is lying to you. The system is lying to you. When the system told you you need yet another booster shot, lots of you were like, nope, government's lying to me. I don't need it. I'm good. I'm not going to get it. Because you're arrogant like that. You think that you can pick and choose which, when the government's lying. They tell you the earth is round and you know that one's true. They tell you Oswald shot Kennedy and you know that one's false. Same exact narrative, same exact characters telling you the same exact bullshit. And you just choose to believe it. Same thing with the religious identity. Christianity and Islam are basically the same shit. Different characters, different settings, same basic stories. All 3, including Judaism, are considered the Abrahamic religions, meaning they all come from Abraham, the father of the Jewish people. It's not questionable. It's not argument. You can't argue it. It's just what it is. And yet you're too stupid to realize that it's by design. That's why they all sound the same. That's why they all sort of put the J's in the superior position. You're just dumb. They've made you dumb, and you're willingly dumb. There is absolutely, if Matitza Bapeh only happens once a year in one household every single year to maintain the religious traditions, blah 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 bullshit. That's one time too many. And the thing is, as much as I hate these psychopaths, I don't want something to happen to their children. They're like that, Who cares if they're bombing children? Like, you can find endless videos of Israelis and other friars talking about kill the children. Personally, I think there's no excuse, no anything that excuses or justifies Matitza Bapay on any fucking level. And it doesn't affect, it doesn't affect me and my people. It literally only affects them. And I oppose it like anything else because somebody needs to protect its fucking children. The fact that you guys don't think the children are worth saving is disgusting. And actually, the reality is you think you are saving them through the fucking ritualistic sexual abuse. That's the narrative that's consistently put forth to these children, that they are the chosen ones and they're lucky to be in the position that they're in. Everyone needs to read the Bottom of Darkness article in Israel Hayom. It's without a shadow of a doubt. Like it's 100% what they do, how they operate. It is what it is. What about the children Hamas killed on October 7th? No Israelis died on October 7th and no Israelis were taken hostage. It's literally, it's one of the laziest false flags they've ever committed. It's so fucking lazy and dumb and makes no sense. That's why there's no investigation or any sort of real talk into it. Notice how that shit's gone away? Israel's not going out of their way to prove anything. The United States isn't proving anything. None of the footage that exists shows you anything close to what they're saying happened. And the thing is, if it did happen, well, where were all the funerals? That's my biggest thing. Where were all the funerals? In every situation I've seen in recent years, and unlike a lot of stupid people who've only been following this since October 7th, I've been following this for a really long time. And what you see consistently over and over again is that their funerals override everything else. With the fake synagogue shooting that took place in Pennsylvania, Robert Bowers Jr. kills 11 people. That fake as fuck. 5 of the people were buried the next day. The other 6 were buried on the Tuesday, or maybe it was the other way around. When it comes to shit like Samantha Wohl here in Detroit, who was found dead between 5:30 and 6:30 a.m. on October 21st, 2023. They tried to spin it Hamas bullshit, but they couldn't make it stick. So I told my wife when it first broke, watch, as soon as it comes out that it was like her boyfriend or some shit, the story will just disappear. Well, the story disappeared. Come to find out, they arrest a guy. His entire identity is hidden. The whole thing is hidden until it has to come out that it was actually her boyfriend, her Jewish boyfriend, who called the police and admitted that he did it. Yeah, I did it. I think I did. I don't remember doing it, but I think I did do it. But he ended up being given immunity. He's given immunity, meaning no matter what happens from here on out, he can't be tried for this. He was given immunity because apparently he had taken a double dose of the psych medication that he was already on. He was on psych medication. And he hit his weed pen 4 times, and that made him call the police and admit to committing murder. Didn't make sense. Was ripped apart on the stand, but again, given immunity, so it doesn't matter. They tried to put it on a black guy, Michael Jackson Bolanos, who isn't the best of characters, but didn't do this. They tried everything they could. The Jewish judge, they tried to get him to recuse himself because he was acting so out of character, adding charges. Sorry.
I'm at 13. I need my charger.
Go get my charger.
No, you use yours.
No, go grab it. There's the wire there, but the thing is upstairs.
Dad, just can I place yourself behind?
Nope. Oh, it's right there. I'll bring it to you in a minute. They He kept adding charges, hate crime charges, all this crazy shit charges. Tried to get him to recuse himself because obviously he knew her, and they're obviously the most biased people in the world. So they wanted, this guy was acting so out of character. It was so insane. If you go and you read the details of the trials and pre-trials and all that bullshit, it is so fucking insane how obvious the conspiracy is. And after all this bullshit, the only thing they could stick him with was lying to police. But they stuck him because for lying to police, he was given a sentence of 18 months to 25 fucking years for lying to police. Do you understand how fucking insane that is? It's almost as insane as, like I say, she was found between 5:30 and 6:30 a.m. on October 21st. The morning newspapers from October 22nd, less than 24 hours later, talk about how beautiful her funeral was and that over 1,000 people attended. Does that make sense to you? You ever heard of somebody being found murdered and having their funeral within hours of that murder? No investigation necessary, no autopsy necessary. And if it was, well, I guess her body just jumps the list because there's this Detroit, man, there was all kinds of people on the list before her. Whatever funerals were said to take place that day were put aside. Her grave was dug, her gravestone was made. All of this happened within hours. Over 1,000 people were able to come to this thing. What about family and friends? What about family and friends in Israel? She was a J community leader. She was a Friar community leader here. She had rich and powerful friends all over. How did they drop everything they were doing and come to this funeral? 1,000 strong. Somehow their funerals seem to override common sense. Protocol of all sorts, laws, regulations. Somehow their funerals are so important. Early in 2023, supposedly, some Hamas, some militants, they were militants then, shot up a gas station, killed 4 people, and took off. One of the people was killed by a settler, one of the shooters. The other shooter was killed by the IDF. No narrative given from them. Only narrative we got was from Israel. And just like always, whenever Israelis are supposedly hurt or killed, it's always the same amount of people that would be in a car accident. Oh, 4 people. Go figure. 2 young girls and less than 25 or whatever. 1 person that was in their 30s or something, and an old man that was in his like 80s or some shit like that. Shot at the gas station. That day, there was something called a rampage. It's a pretty standard custom for Israelis and settlers to do, where they form a long line, and as they march, they just destroy everything they can. They break windows and flatten tires and beat people up and set fires, and they do all this shit. It's called a rampage. It's a really common thing. The rampage that day was said to have waited until the girls were in the ground. The rampage took place 2 hours after the thing. 2 hours after the incident, 2 funerals were had for 2 young girls, and they were already buried and in the ground within 2 hours? How is that possible? That story is a little harder to find, so go back to Samantha Wohl. She was found stabbed to death. You're telling me there was no investigation necessary? The autopsy was done within a couple of hours. Everything, that the funeral, all the arrangements, all of the travel, gravestone, all of it. Couple of hours? How about any movie about the Holocaust is automatically given 5 stars if it's a shitty movie or not? Absolutely. How about the fact that during the whole bullshit narrative, while it was happening, there were only 2 movies made out of Hollywood about it. And they were both made by Goyim. And then afterward, the 6 media moguls made a special trip to Auschwitz and had a secret meeting after the supposed liberation. Almost like they went there and created the narrative that they were going to push from that point on, because there was no Holocaust narrative prior to. Just like when you look at the World Census Report numbers and how it's between 15 million to 16 million prior to the war, between 15 16 million during the war, and a little bit higher after the war. There is no 6 million accounted for. There weren't 6 million in Europe at the time. There were only about 3, and most of them escaped here. Or Russia. The narrative isn't true. It's not true. It's a fucking farce. If you look up the reason for it, you go, okay, so what's the reason given? The bullshit narrative they tell you is that Hitler was an aspiring artist when he was younger, and a Jewish guy was mean to him, critiqued one of his paintings poorly. So he was like, I'm going to do the Holocaust. Come on. Holocaust is a Yiddish word. It means burnt offering. It's all just insane when you start looking into the narrative. Hitler would give speeches all the time about how they've infiltrated everything, how they're trying to, do what they've done here. The translations of those Hitler speeches, they definitely take on a different meaning when you know what's being said. But he was just an actor. According to the narrative, he wasn't involved in any of it. He was more involved in the planning of the elaborate festivals and parades and shit that they did all the time. Which, again, we just don't think about. Oh, yeah, I just did that. How come none of you can tell me the movie or the TV show or whatever where the bad guy is an Israeli or a Jewish guy? Not one. Show me that movie where some crazy Jewish guy is out there trying to kill people just because. They don't exist. Where are the Gulag movies? Where are the movies about Stalin and the fucking Bolsheviks, and where's all that shit? Where's the movies about Mao and killing 100 million of his own people? Or Leopold killing 50 plus million Africans? Where are all these movies at? Where are all these TV shows at? Where are the Jewish bad guys? I mean, you have Jews pretending to be all different sorts of characters all the time as bad guys. Like the whole, Godfather bullshit. Pushing the horrible Italian stereotypes that they love so much about the dumb, violent Italians, that they created that whole narrative because the Italians were mean to them. And The Godfather should be fucking banned. It's the most disgusting fucking movie. Mel Brooks might have made something. Well, you always get guys like Don Rickles, who made their whole, or even Ari Shafir, whose whole identity is being like racist, is being, talking shit about everyone. And they get away with it by saying, oh yeah, well, we talk about the Jews too. But when they do, it's always like how rich they are, how powerful they are, how smart they are. You know, how mean they are sometimes. But they don't talk about how disgusting they are. And we've all been tricked into thinking that saying they have all the money, the power, and the control, that's somehow some slur. Oh, how dare you say I'm rich and powerful? That is just so mean. How dare you? It's all just manipulation. It's all MK Ultra kind of bullshit. Like tricking black people into committing crime because a word is uttered. He said nigger, so I had the right to fight him now. I assaulted that man because he said a word to me. You know this man? No, but he said that word. All right, well, now you have to get one of us as your lawyers. You're gonna go see one of us and the judges. You got to go to the jail where we own the jail. That guy's got to go to the hospital where we own the hospital. We're the doctors. You know, he's got to get himself a lawyer and then see the same judge. Like, we're gonna make a bunch of money off of this. It's all just fucking, you know. It's Saturday morning. First Saturday of every month, they test the fucking system. Sounds cool though, doesn't it? Little Dick Nick, still mad. Still mad. Ooh, I'm mad. Literally, everything I've said is so true, they haven't debunked a single fucking thing. Everything. Listen to all the things I've said. Look at all the different claims I made, all that shit. Not a single fucking thing I've said is wrong. They know it, you know it, we all know it. So go get your free download. www.the-bilderberg, BILDERBERG-group.com. It's free to download, free to listen to. All we ask is you share with somebody. Just share it. Right? Click down. Like, I know that this should be appealing to you guys, right? It's free. What do you mean it's free? What is free? It's free. Click download. It'll ask you how much you want to pay. You can click 0 when it's free. Those who have donated, we really do appreciate it. It's fantastic of you. But you don't have to. All we ask, the payment that we ask is that it's free. I'd rather, instead of charging you $5 to download it, I give you that $5 to share it with someone. See what I mean? That's more valuable to me than your $5. Just share it. As I told you before, the most important film ever made, Hollywoodism. There'll be a link to that. There's going to be a link to the Israel Hayom article, Bottom of Darkness, something everybody should try to read. It's going to kick you out. It's going to make it really difficult for you to read it, but you should try. And then there'll be 3 links to our Facebook videos for Donald Trump Hates America, COVID Sauce, and Sleight of Hand Job. Great songs, by the way. You know, have yourself a fantastic day. Most importantly, the most important thing I ever say, always, always, always. Pedophiles kill you.